Welcome everyone back to the Sanderlanch for another week. I am Dak. I'm back. Jamie is taking this week off just as we get settled with our little ones, so hope you guys forgive us for that. But good for us to be back. Hope you've all enjoyed the last few weeks of Data and Joe. Speaking of, with me this week is
Joe
and Data.
But yes, we are back. We are going through Elantris once more, so thank you all for waiting. So we're doing chapters 7, 8, and 9, another triad. So in this series of chapters, first of all, we've got Rowden and Galadon trying to figure out the magic, and then Rowden decides, I've got something else in mind, and he starts recruiting for his posse. Serene is trying to get more of the lay of the land in the politics, and has more meetings with their family, and has a nice confrontation with the Giorn with Hrathen. And then the final chapter is Hrathen just like acknowledging, okay, didn't go great, but I know I've got a strong enemy here, and then trying to recruit more people to his posse, and dealing with Dilaf, who is just like a massive shit. God, that guy is really getting on my nerves. Anyway, so that's what we've got in store. Hold on to something, everyone. The Sanderlanch is about to begin.
Feed the fire, set me free in this city of dreams. Push my mind into overload. Hack the wire, smash the gene in this city of dreams. We'll be immortal in the code. Mind into overload.
Yeah, so this one, I feel like I almost said Trinity. This triad of chapters does a really good job of showing how they're kind of happening at roughly the same time, because we have like Rowden's chapter. You see Hrathen up on the wall, and then Rowden goes and ends up on a roof or whatever, right? And then in Serene's chapter, she sees the Giorn. She's up on the wall with him, and then she sees Rowden on the roof. And then Hrathen's chapter starts like at the end of Serene's chapter, where he's just leaving that confrontation with her. So you get the whole like how it's kind of more or less at the same time that the triads are going.
All pretty concurrent.
So it's an interesting way to tell a story, I feel like.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hey, let's take a minute. Dak's back.
Yay!
Dak's back.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I've been away. Kind of necessary, though. I'm sure
Oh,
you all forgive me.
Sure.
Yep, babies change things.
Yeah. I did just listen to, like I said before, I was listening to the first episode that came out while we were on a break, and haven't really had a lot of time to listen to the rest of them, but I got to that one, and like pretty much just like where I've just gotten up to in that episode is the bit where, oh man, we're all really pulling for Jamie to come back because Jamie's the favorite. I'm like, this week, guys, she's gonna have another week off, but we're hoping for next week. It just depends on how the little one goes. If it comes to it, might be a case of, all right, well, she'll be on this episode and I'll take the little one for that episode if we need to do another 3-person thing. But we'll see how it goes. We're figuring this out.
Yeah.
Or if we get into the middle of an episode and baby starts crying, and maybe somebody will drop off or drop in halfway through, depending on how it goes. So just kind of stick with us, guys. It'll be a little fluid for a while. Yeah,
we will try and make it as seamless as possible for you and bring back the classic banter and predicaments and whatnot, but we'll figure it out. Just bear with us.
Everybody be cool. It's a baby. It's a baby. See,
everybody loves babies.
It's our first baby. We don't know how to be parents yet. We're still figuring that out.
Right?
It's been crazy, y'all.
Oh, it's fun. It's exciting and terrifying at the same time. I know what you mean. Okay, I guess let's do the thing. What did you guys think of these 3 chapters?
It was good. It's been several weeks since I've read the book, so coming back into it, I'm just like, okay, who are these characters again? Okay.
Yeah, did you have trouble remembering? We were talking about whether that would be an issue.
It actually wound up being not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought, especially because we're such early days in the book, I thought, I'm just going to forget everything that happens before we come back in. But as soon as I picked it up, I'm just like, oh no, I'm across this. It's like the start of each chapter is a bit of a, so that's this person, especially for Serene, because her chapters have way more characters than the other 2.
Mm-hmm.
But no, on the whole, it was actually quite easy to jump back into. And it's like, all right, this is where we're up to. This is everything. So it's cool. It's like, obviously, we're still just setting the scene. I'm curious to see what Rowden is up to when he's like starting to build up his group. Galadon's obviously not happy that, and it's like, God, we're letting anyone in now. Jeez, there goes the neighborhood. I think probably Serene and Hrathen's chapters are a bit more interesting this time, just because like we're able to see stuff going on. And honestly, it was kind of cool to see Hrathen just go, right, I lost that round. well played. I'm like, okay, you're not just a sadistic prick. Like, you actually, like, you're showing more standards. And like he genuinely doesn't seem like he wants to just go in and kill everyone. He actually is like, shit, no, like, I don't want to do that. So like, all right, that's an interesting twist for what's basically our main antagonist at this point.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's cool. We'll see how this all plays out, but I enjoyed them. It was good to get back in, and it wasn't too confusing to come back after such a break. So that was good.
Yeah. I admit, like, I think the first time I read it, I expected, he would blow up after his whole thing gets ruined, and he's just like, hey, well played. I'll get you next time.
No, that was probably my favorite moment of these chapters. He's just like, all right, cool.
Well played, class.
You knew it was coming.
We're back. Hey, these chapters I actually really enjoyed these chapters. I also, because we didn't have to read, I did take a break. And so I didn't actually read these chapters until today, so that they would be extremely fresh for me. But I really, so far, am just enjoying the 3 different characters that we're sticking with. It's kind of a different vibe than Mistborn, because, in Mistborn, we might get 2 different perspectives in one chapter, or we kind of wouldn't know what to expect. But now it's like, it's almost comfortable. It's like, I know that this chapter is going to be Raiden. I know that this chapter is going to be Sereni. I know that this chapter is going to be Hrathen. So I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. The Raiden stuff is exciting to me because it's like Dak mentions, he's building a posse. He's getting a group together. He's got a shoemaker. So now he needs a
butcher, a baker.
Yeah, exactly. He needs the whole group. So I'm excited for that. I'm also interested to see what piece of food he's stealing specifically. I'm almost wondering if he's going to try to if he's stealing something that he could try to grow to make more food.
That would be the smart move, right?
Yeah, early theory I'm throwing out there, but that'd just be interesting if that's what he's trying to do. Other than that, Sereni, very, very fun to watch her kind of play the king and Hrathen at the same time. And then, yeah, Hrathen just gets more interesting. I like his angle. It's so interesting. I almost want Hrathen to succeed, even though he seems like a bad guy. I'm almost rooting for him, because he's not like a Strath Venture, It's like he's more interesting, and you kind of want to know how his plan's all going to come together. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited. I really enjoyed these chapters.
It's like he's that classic. The most frightening villains are the ones who are doing what they do because they believe it to be the right thing. And adding in that little element of he genuinely doesn't want to kill people to make it happen. He's like, no, I've got to do this because it's right. I don't want people to die. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. He's definitely
a wrinkle.
A zealot.
Yeah,
a zealot of but deep down a good-natured zealot. He's like, yeah, we could just kill everybody, but that's not what we're supposed to do. People don't need to die. We just need to convert them.
Yeah.
He's like, I will if we have to, but I'd prefer not to mass murder.
Oh, very well. I'll kill them, but I'm not going to be happy about
it. He's definitely not a Strath Venture who we just love to hate so much because he's so clearly so evil. It's just
he's more of a Sinestro. He's like, oh, all right, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. I seriously doubt that.
No, I want to see him with I almost feel like from what we know of him, he totally fits the Yellow Lantern thing. He could strike some fear in some people.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate that he's wearing red then. He's like, oh man, you could have gone for yellow.
Yeah, he's not super ragey like the Red Lantern.
He is not a Red Lantern.
Okay, I guess let's get started into these chapters. Chapter 7. I was wondering how disappointed everyone was going to be because at the end of the last one, the magic. It's it turns out he can do the magic. We're going to see what this magic is all about. We started chapter 7 with Rauden drawing lines in the air, and they don't actually do anything.
He'll figure it out. He's got time.
And he seems pretty switched on.
He really wants to figure it out.
Yeah. But it's also just because oh yeah, he made the magic, and the start of the next chapter is, well, it didn't work. Moving on to other things, it's kind of he even says, well, that was anticlimactic. Let's go. I'm like, yeah, it was, but now we're doing other stuff, so it's okay.
Yeah, he's he remains pretty upbeat despite the horrible failure of the magic.
He just seems like he's a really chipper dude. He's like, I woke up a plague victim. All right, let's explore this city. The magic is crap. Oh, well, let's go find out what else is working. It's like, nothing going to get me down.
But it is interesting.
I need shoes. Let me get some shoes. I'll be
Step
set.
1, shoes.
Step 2, rule the world.
Step 2, question mark. Step 3, rule the world. Yep. But we learn that, like, the Aeon magic system, Aeon, does it actually? Yeah, Aeon Door, one word, is the name of the magic. And it involves, like, drawing Aeons in the air with your finger. So it's a very different sort of magic than we ever saw in Mistborn.
The magic of fire twirling.
Yeah. And apparently you have to be able to draw the Aeon correctly, because Galadon's like, hey, you're way better than me. Usually I, like, accidentally make a line a little bit off and it just fades away. So it's a very precise magic.
It's like, oh, good. It's a magic system that is not helpful to those with bad handwriting. Got it.
It's the grammar Nazi system of magic.
Yep.
And yeah, he's like, well, that's anticlimactic. I draw a thing and it, like, flashes and disappears and nothing happens. That's unfortunate. And, like, it's like either the Elantrians kind of hid what was going on with their magic really well, which you got to wonder if they did, because as he points out, it's like, if you become a Elantrian, you can use it. If you're not a Elantrian, you can't. So there's not really any need to hide anything, because no one who found out about it would do anything with it, theoretically, unless there's more to this than we know, which, let's face it, there usually is, right?
Yeah, probably.
But it's just like, in the 10 years, either they hit it really well or it's just been lost in this 10 years, where he's like, you don't need incantations or sacrifices or potion ingredients like fucking Harry Potter. You stick your finger in the air and you draw the thing.
What does Elantria magic do if you flip someone the bird?
But it mentions specifically the kind of one thing that it could do, where it's like, oh yeah, like one time he broke his arm and somebody just drew a symbol over it and it healed immediately. So it's pretty powerful, the magic.
And it's like, there's an interesting little note in there that's like, his dad did not want him to come in and get healed by Elantrian methods, because like over the next few chapters, it's like his dad and who his dad is as a character gets really sketched in. You think, that could be connected to everything.
Yeah, we're learning more about his dad, and nothing nice. His dad's kind of taken the Straff seat where we're like, man, I hate this guy, and every time we find out more, I just hate him a little bit more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's the worst already. Just like,
hello,
I'm
new
good.
Straff.
Yeah.
But Joe had the theory early on that maybe he was involved in what's going on somehow, so that just kind of piles on.
I was about to say, this chapter, and it almost made me think, oh, well, this is too obvious, but this chapter really kind of strengthened that theory for me, that I'm like, yeah, his dad obviously doesn't like the Elantrians for some reason. And then this is the thought that I had that came out of that, is like, if you're touched by the magic of the Elantrians, perhaps that's why you're led to become like an Elantrian, because they've been touched by the magic, because it made it. We also get a little tidbit from Galadon that he has been to Elantris in its heyday as well.
Mm-hmm.
So makes me think that maybe he was touched by the magic, that's why he's there. And then also I have my theory that one of the leaders of the gangs is actually Raoden's mother. So that would also make sense then, because she was touched by the magic probably when she came to bring her son there, or at a different time, because obviously if she knew that the Elantrians could heal her son, then she may have been there previously for a different reason.
Oh, that's true.
That makes sense. I mean, that could also lend into, it's like, Serene makes a whole big deal of, it's like the arrogance of making walls like this, when it's like, you don't actually need the damn things. You put stairs up the outside. That could be like the walls of Elantris, like the borders of the magic. It's all contained in there and only bleeds out when people go in and then come out again. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
too.
It makes sense.
You got to figure the walls do something of some kind, right? Like, why make ginormous walls for no reason?
Yeah.
And we get a conversation between Raoden and Galadon about, first he's like, why were you so hesitant to bring me here? And he's like, well, I don't want people being all up in my shit. This is my special place with my books. And Raoden's like, well, then why did you bring me? And he's like, well, I mean, you're not the first person to think maybe the answer is in these books somewhere, and two men can read more quickly than one. Which I love Raoden's response. He's like, twice as quickly, I'd guess. It's so silly.
Yeah, it's almost like sarcastic, but it's Raoden, so you're like, he means well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no. I don't even really think about it, because, you know, we're used to electric lights, but it's like they don't have lights inside. They don't have lamps like they have in the outside world, because apparently Elantris didn't have a store of lamp oil. Elantris used magic inscribed on these plates on the wall that would create light. So this is a very dark city at night, I guess, and just inside in general. And that like adds to the creepy factor of this trapped zombie city to me.
I love stories like that where it's like they've got, the magic or like the powers or whatever, and then like when those powers or that magic goes away and they try and figure out how to do like mundane things without them. It's like I think there was an X-Men story once where the Juggernaut lost his unstoppability and just became a regular human and nearly starved to death because the entire time he was Juggernaut he didn't need to eat, and so he forgot.
Wow. I guess I never thought about the Juggernaut eating. The gem of Sidorak or whatever provides him nourishment.
Actually, was it eating, or actually it might have been like he nearly choked because he'd forgotten how to breathe because he never needed to breathe as the Juggernaut either.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah. So I love little touches of stories like that. It's like, wow, you really did come to just rely on your powers you forgot how to be a regular person, and that's gonna mess you up.
Like when you started to say, was it eating, or was it, for some reason I thought you were gonna be like, or was it going to the bathroom? Like you never had to go to the bathroom. And imagine it's like you've forgotten how to do that, and you're like, oh geez, I feel really weird. I don't understand what it is.
My stomach hurts really bad, guys. I think I'm dying. No, you just have to go to the bathroom. What is this brown stuff in my pants? You just have to go to the bathroom. Why is my legs all warm? Oh, God.
Juggernaut, just use your helmet as a chamber pot. Jesus.
It's got holes in it.
It's still like
it's quite large.
Basin.
Yeah. Does he
Put
get
some tape over
smaller?
those.
Like, does he get tiny again when he turns into a regular human? Because he's pretty huge.
It depends on the story. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he doesn't.
Okay.
He definitely does in the 90s cartoon.
I remember the 90s cartoon well. Good times. That's the Juggernaut that's in my head, is the 90s cartoon. It's not what's his name from X3 or anything like that.
Don't. Let's not talk about that movie.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Oh my gosh. Oh, classic.
No, it's not.
No, I was actually thinking of the video that inspired that line.
Okay, yeah, fair.
That's the classic, like the comedy dub over the 90s cartoon episode.
Yes, yeah,
They should have had a black guy play Juggernaut. That would have been way better.
Right? Yeah. Oh, but he's supposed to be like, I don't think he was in the movie, but like in the comics he's like Charles's half brother or something. Right. So maybe that wouldn't make as much sense.
Well, no, he's his step brother. So,
oh, okay, then yeah, that's fine.
He could totally be. He could totally be played by a black guy.
He could do it.
Yeah. Is he a redhead? We're going back to that thing about redheads now.
Actually, I think he might have been.
Yeah, see, it's a thing.
I think you're right.
I mean, Michael Clarke Duncan in his heyday would have been a great Juggernaut.
Oh, I would have loved to see that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love Michael Clarke Duncan in anything though. Like that guy was.
That is true. That man could do no wrong.
Did you ever see that show, The Finder? That was a great show.
Yeah. Are we successfully recasting X3? I think we are.
it wouldn't be hard to do better than they did. So
that's true. Like recasting is one thing. You also have to successfully rewrite that.
Rewrite it. Yep. Because that was terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway. I didn't actually see the Dark Phoenix or whatever movie they did, like the last X-Men movie that came out. But I would have said like you have to be able to do better with the Phoenix Saga than X3 did, but it doesn't seem like they did.
It's still pretty bad. It was okay. I think the most aggravating thing about Dark Phoenix, honestly, is they set up these movies to tie to the original canon for the movies in Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
And then they totally renege on that in Dark Phoenix. Like they blow all that shit up they just did, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Look, I've been an X-Men fan most of my life, so I've always been fairly critical of the X-Men movies. I've never really, aside from the first two and I guess First Class, I've never really liked any of them, if I'm being honest. So but yeah, Dark Phoenix was just such a bland letdown.
First Class has some really great stuff. I'm not gonna say it's amazing overall, but it's got some great stuff.
Yeah.
Magneto, Nazi Hunter, just by itself. That
should have been the movie, but
yeah.
Like I hate to be the person who says should, but
it could have been a better movie.
Could have been. What could have been?
That's fair.
But speaking of forgetting to eat, the next thing is Rowden starts to realize that his stomach is hurting, and he's gone 3 days now without food, and it's not fun. He's like, maybe I'm starting to understand why the Elantrians are the way they are if they don't get any food. And he's like, come on, Galadon, we're gonna do something.
But also, like, if they do eat, because they've got the people who are always mugging the new arrivals for their food basket. Like, if they eat, does the stomach ache go away, or does that just hang around?
That is an excellent question. I feel like from the way Galadon like takes the food from him and agrees to, like, this 30 days of helping him, it must help in some way.
Okay.
But we don't know for sure at this point. Maybe it could even be like a psychological thing. Like, he thinks that it helps, so that's enough. So I don't know. Were you guys shocked at Rowden's gutsy move here? He's like, I'm going to go into the square and I'm going to get some people.
It was definitely unexpected. I knew he was going to make a move. I just thought maybe he would approach one of the other gangs immediately, but obviously he has decided that the best way to do things is to form his own group, which I think is way better than going and talking to one of the gangs, you know? It's like, and he's also basically, he's saving these people from being beaten, and he's like, okay, now you owe me your life. You're indentured to me. Very, as we find out, it's very merchant style, which is funny because he kind of was not like that in life. So
you got to do what you got to do when you're in Zombie Town.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Also, I was confused. Did he just fake like he knew who that guy was?
Yes, he faked like he knew who that guy was.
I was like, at first I thought, oh, he really knows this guy? But then that's clearly not the case.
I think it says that like he picks a name that is a common name or something. We'll get there.
Yeah. But we find out then later that's not the guy's name. So it's like, why did he even look? Is it just because he's in Zombie City, or it's like, oh my god, there's a voice here? What?
I guess, yeah, if everyone's quiet and all of a sudden somebody yells out, then you'd look, even if that's not your name, maybe.
I guess, yeah.
But the first thing that happens is as they get to the square, they spot Hrathen up there in his blood red armor and cloak, his cloak flapping in the wind. And Galadon recognizes him immediately as a Gjorn, one of the high priests. And Rodden's like, what, really? And Galadon's like, yeah. And they talk about how it's like, it wasn't really even the Elantrians and the magic that they hated so much. It's the fact they've never figured out how to get through the mountains to attack you people.
They didn't have elephants and they couldn't cross the Alps.
Exactly.
You guys are just way too alive for our tastes, and we can't rectify that.
That's why we're bitter. Is we really don't want you to be alive, and you just keep being alive. It's
Would you stop living?
And yeah, and here's where it's like he notes that he's like, you can't know how beautiful this place was, and Galadon's like, no, yes, I do know. Which I think it should have been obvious. Galadon has been schooling him on. It's like, do you not understand how lights worked in Elantris? See, there were these things on the walls that made lights. And Rowden's over here like, man, you don't know how awesome Elantris was. Galadon's like, yeah, I've been here.
It's like, dude, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Back down.
And it's like, hey, you think somebody's going to be thrown in today, Galadon? He's like, I don't know. Sometimes we go weeks without a new guy, and I've seen 5 people put in at once. So who knows? It's been 2 days in a row. Maybe we'll get a third one. And so an old man gets shoved in, an older man, rather, in his late 40s. I can't call that an old man. I'm not, like, terribly far off.
But, I mean, if this is anything like older feudal societies before modern medicine, that probably is, like, later in life.
Yeah. And so, it says, Tiorin, Rowden called out, choosing a common Aeonic name. And the guy looks up like, huh?
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Of course I know him. He's me.
A long time.
But it's not him.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan, yeah. You think he means Old Ben? Is Kenobi a really common last name in this area, dude? I don't...
Do you think he could mean Old Ben Kenobi? Oh, come on, Luke. Don't be a moron.
Like, no, he must mean Steve Kenobi from down the... What are you doing?
Good old Steve.
And there's Jeff Kenobi. We don't really like to talk to him. He hoards his moisture.
Yeah. Also, I've heard he's made it with the Sand Women.
Oh, jeez. Rowden walks up to this guy and he's like, hey, yeah, either you pretend to be my friend right now, or those guys over there are gonna beat the shit out of you. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm your friend.
Hey, buddy, it's good to see you.
And he's like, okay, what do I do? And Rowden yells, run. And that was his plan.
It's just like, cheese it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Let's go already. And Galadon is like, what the hell is wrong with you? What are you doing?
I'm like, why am I friends with you?
Galadon's just like, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Really, yeah, that's kind of Galadon. He's very much Murtaugh. It's true. So they go into a building and they climb up some like crumbling steps, and the guys are chasing them down, and like Rowden like knocks the stairs over or something, so they can't get up to them.
He like pushes over a chimney or something onto the stairs, so the stairs just collapse completely.
Yeah, and so Galadon's like, okay, and what do we do now? And so Rowden pulls. Let's see. It says he removed each of the man's food offerings, and after tucking one of them in his belt, he dumped the rest to the men waiting in the street. And here's them fighting. He's like, okay, let's hope they realize that they're not going to get anything more out of us. And he's like, and if they don't, well, then we can live forever without food or water, right? Like, we'll stay up here forever. And he's like, why? I don't want to be on top of this building forever. And what was even the point? You could have given them the food back there.
Yeah, this is a bad plan.
And he's
But,
like,
you
no,
know,
this
when
way he
your whole-
thinks he owes me.
Yeah, when your whole plan is like make a random friend and then cheese it.
Yeah, well,
It's like it's probably not gonna work out for you, buddy.
it's very much Ray from Ghostbusters and get her. It's just,
Get her.
Oh gosh. But so he's pissed off one of the three gangs that control Elantris now. So that can't be bad, right? And Rowden's like, haha, this is only the beginning of my plan. I'm going to piss off everyone.
Cute, evil, maniacal laugh.
It's like, what do we got to lose? We're already dead. And so new guy is a jeweler named Marishi, I guess is how that's said. And Rowden's like, yeah, we don't need a jeweler. What else can you do? And this guy's offended. He's like, excuse me, jewelry making is extremely awesome. And Galen's like, yeah, we don't need that here, though. There's not really any call for that.
He's like, yeah, cool. We need something else.
And then they're like, what else can you do? And Marishi's like, anything. Like,
anything?
Anything.
And Galadon misses the cue to just go, oh, sweet, cure us.
Yeah,
right?
Make us alive again.
I love the guy's response. He's like, I am a craftsman, an artisan. I can make anything, for Domi himself has granted me the soul of an artist.
Yeah, whatever. Shut up.
It's like, this is a hell of a first recruit, guys.
Yeah.
And Galadon just snorts, and Rowden's like, what about shoes? And dude's kind of offended, like, shoes, really? Like, I guess I could, but that doesn't really demand much of my skill.
It's like when he's banging on like this, and I'm just like, you were a jeweler and now you're making footwear, and I just had it like an image in my head of like the Infinity Gauntlet, but as boots.
I love that, actually.
Yeah.
And they're just like Baresh, like, how did you even do this? Where did you find the rubies?
So instead of like snapping, he like clicks his heels together to destroy half the universe.
There's no place like a half-dead universe.
But he explains. He's like, okay, look, this is actually going to be tougher than you think, because you have to make shoes that fit so beautifully that they don't cause blisters or anything, because people here will never recover if they get a blister. So he's like, wait, what? Because he doesn't know about life as an Elantrian, so they have to kind of explain this to him. Yeah, it's like, when we get wounds, they don't heal. And he's like, no longer heal. And Galadon is a little bit pissy. He's like, you want an example? Because I can arrange one for you, Kolo.
I like that bit.
Yeah, he's already had enough. He's like, fuck this guy. Shut up. You shoemaker. Come on.
Like, Marishi's just like, I don't think your friend likes me. He's like, no. That's how he shows affection.
Yeah, he loves you. Now turn this way. Don't look at him.
Yeah. Instead of giving people hugs, he gives them paper cuts.
Ew, I don't want to be friends with that guy either. You got like an Edward Scissorhands thing going. Edward Paper Hands.
A paper cut that lasts forever. Fuck that.
No, thank you. And Rowden picks a name for himself. He's like, call me Spirit, which is the translation of Aeon Reo, which is the basis for his name, Rowden. So it's not that much of a disguise, quite honestly, when he puts it like that.
Yeah. So he's the Spirit. He's Alec Baldwin.
He's the Phantom?
Oh, yeah. I forgot. That's the Phantom, not the Spirit. Spirit's that other guy. I didn't see that movie.
Well, he's
I didn't
also
see that either.
The Phantom's also the ghost who walks, so it almost works here. So,
Yeah, I guess that's true.
they're pretty dead.
I'll stick with what I said then.
I like when the dude's like, you look familiar. And he's like, no, you've never seen me before. Now, choose.
Just like immediately like, no, you're wrong. Okay, moving on.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're high. Look, it's been a long day, right?
You look familiar. You want the paper cut?
Yeah, seriously. Well, and so then Galadon is like, by the way, those guys are not leaving. And Ron's like, so what? I mean, it's not like we have any place we need to be. It's actually really nice up here. And then the rain starts. And Galadon's like, damn it.
God damn it.
Like, if these chapters had names, this one could be called Galadon's Really Bad Day.
Well, you think this is the worst it gets for Galadon?
I don't know. Just seems like he's been pretty cool up until now, and now all of a sudden he's like saving people and getting rained on, and like these people are waiting at the bottom like the mountain lions, and everything's just shit.
He's thinking
Why
maybe
did
I
they take
should
up
have.
this asshole?
Yeah, I should have rethought that deal for like one piece of meat equal 30 days because it's been like one day and it's already not going well.
This is already the worst.
So then we cut to Serene. I'm not calling her Serene. I don't care what. And we met her uncle last time. Her uncle. I'm calling Keen. I'm not saying Kayine. It's also stupid. And he apparently offered to let her live with him and his family of fun characters. But she's like, no, I got to keep in the palace. I got to keep my foot in the court so I can do the stuff. I can manipulate things. And so she's in the throne room with an easel and paint set up just right in the middle of the king's throne room before he gets there in the morning. And he walks in. Move. Yeah, seriously. He walks in. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? And she's like, I'm painting. And holds up a brush to show. It's like, see? And he's like, yeah, okay, but why are you doing it here? She's like, I'm painting your paintings. I do like them, so.
And he's just like, the copyright lawyers are going to be all over us. Shit.
And he's just yelling at her like, okay, if you want to paint, fine, just not the middle of my fucking throne room. Okay? And I like this. She opened her eyes wide, blinked a few times, and then pulled her easel and chairs over to the side of the room, and then sat down and kept painting. It's like she just really wants him to think she's very, very stupid. And
like, that's just the persona she's creating around court in general, because she tries the same thing on Hrathen. She's like, I'm going to be a massive dum-dum. And Hrathen's like, yeah, not buying it.
He's like, no, I see what you did there. But that doesn't stop him from when we get to his chapter using that to his advantage.
Yeah.
Well,
totally.
His line's like, I hear that she has trouble telling her right hand from her left hand. So, but Iadon is just like, okay, fine. You are more trouble than you're worth dealing with you. I don't even care. Just, I'm going to do my stuff.
At least she's painting quietly.
And when Aish, her Aeon is like, man, I thought he was going to kick you out. She's like, no, I kind of got him figured out. He's got a quick temper, but he grows frustrated really easily. So he knows I'm just going to misunderstand whatever he says, so he's going to avoid saying things to me. And the Aeon is just like, or the Seon, I'm sorry. He's just like, how did this guy even become king in the first place? And Serene's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he must have been good at something, right, to have ended up as king.
And just flash back to the South Park, the Stick of Truth, and it's like, you are now king, douchebag.
Yeah, no, that works. And Serene's like, yeah, I don't think he's going to be king for long. I think that's why the Gjorn is here. And Aish is like, yeah, I agree. By the way, you're getting better at painting. And she's like, don't patronize me, dude. It's like, no, seriously. I can never. It used to be I couldn't tell what you were painting. And she's like, so what is this? A bowl of fruit? And we're getting some really interesting character stuff from Serene at this point where she's like, usually she's good at everything. Painting has eluded her, and she's just convinced that if she keeps banging her head against this wall, one day she will be more stubborn than the art, and it will work.
Yeah, somehow that'll translate to artistic talent.
And Aish is like, yeah, no, I'm sure that'll work out for you. And she's like, until then, we'll just say I was trained in the Svordish school of extreme abstractionism. And he's like, yes, the school of creative misdirection. Very good, my lady. I like that. Oh, that's fun. And then two guys come in, and so I guess what the king does all day is he sits here and, listens to cases and makes judgments. And these two guys come.
Fairly standard.
Yeah, no, it's a standard like medieval king thing to be doing. And these guys are arguing. A peasant escaped from one nobleman and ends up with a second guy and gets married and has kids with somebody belonging to the second nobleman. And now the first nobleman has found out, and he wants those kids, those babies. And he's like, those are my property because that was my slave that fathered them. Although We find out that technically not slaves exactly, because she's like, well, I thought slavery was illegal. And Aisha's like, yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's when her cousin shows
the
up.
The Grunkalunkas all over again.
They think they have a good union, but they don't.
But they don't. They're basically slaves.
Tell them I hate them.
And so Lukel shows up, and he's like, yeah, they're talking about figurative ownership, which I don't even know what that means in this context.
No,
that
definitely
is
not.
a load of wank.
Oh my gosh. But Lukel is one of the most successful merchants in the city, so he can come into court whenever he wants.
I like how nonchalant he is with her, too. He's like, hey, cuz, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like, what up? What you drawing there?
Cool. Looks terrible. Nice horse.
Yeah, he's like,
Not
it's a horse, right? And she scowls, and he goes, a house? And Aisha's like, it's not a bowl of fruit either. I already tried that.
It's like, don't do it. This is good comedy in these. Really, the whole Serenity chapter has a lot of good comedy in it.
Her whole family is good for a laugh. They're just fun dudes, and the little girl who's also hilarious. But I like Lukel's like, well, she said it was one of these paintings, right? We just have to keep guessing until we've guessed them all, and we'll get there eventually. And she's like, it's that one over there. And he's like, but that's a picture of flowers. And what's that dark spot in the middle of your painting? Flowers. Oh, whatever you say. Oh gosh. So apparently, 10 years ago, when the Elantrians were in charge, everybody was just, free people in charge of their own destiny. Since the Elantrians fell and a king and nobles have become in charge of this country, it has gradually sort of slid backwards in development until we're real close to like a feudal system, which he says is like what the ancient feudal serfs had. So I guess we're talking about like a Russian serf.
It makes this whole part. I was like, this makes no sense. You're just gonna go backwards in terms of economy and cultural society. Like that doesn't really add up to me.
For people not used to leading a kingdom, like they don't know anything about actually ruling. I think it kind of does make sense. They're like, all we care about is our power over other people. So we don't know anything about like administering a country for the good of everyone. We just want to be rich. So this is great for us. Yeah. So she's like, wow, this place is a lot worse than I feared. This is like the country that my country has allied itself with so that we can stand against the feudals. This is not great.
Yeah, it's at this point you're just like, man, maybe Hrathen's got a point and this place really should be conquered.
Right? Like she's like, even the feudals aren't this backwards anymore. And they're a crazy like theocracy thing going on there. So apparently when Lukel explains that when Iadon took over, he eliminated individual landholding rights. People couldn't own land anymore. And he just said, all the land belongs to me. I'm the king now. The whole country is mine. Screw you guys. And then there was no army or anyone to stand up against him. So he hired a bunch of mercenaries and no one could say anything except for possibly other rich people who could afford to hire mercenaries. So he goes, hey, you other rich merchants, I will give you noble titles and land under my new country that I'm king of. So support me. And that's how we got here. Only a few people, such as Keen, had enough land and money that Iadon didn't dare to try to take their property. So apparently Keen is not one of the supporters of Iadon, but he's also so rich that Iadon couldn't like try to force him out. So he kind of just has to live with him. And they're like, how did this guy become king exactly? And so it turns out that he was the leader of the Merchants Guild, which was the only organization in the area, or the most powerful one at least, that wasn't directly connected to the Elantrians, because the merchants didn't like the Elantrians. Elantrians could use their magic to make shit, and they gave it away for free, which does not work out well when you are someone who sells stuff to people.
Yeah.
We're getting a very, okay, this is capitalism versus socialism here.
It kind of is, yeah. I mean, socialism would be amazing if you could make everything out of thin air and just give it all to people.
Oh, yeah.
Everything would be awesome. But anyway, so he's like, yeah, he was the guy in charge of the Merchants Guild, and all of a sudden that was a powerful organization, so he got to be king because all Elantris fell, and everyone related to them was either also fell or was tainted in the eyes of the people. So he's not a good king, but he was the guy in the right place at the right time.
this again brings it back to, it's like, did he have anything to do with the fall of Elantris? Because it seems like he was around when it fell. He was in that position. He personally stood to benefit the most from the fall of Elantris in more ways than one.
Yep. He definitely has
for sure.
been the guy who benefited.
So he's got motive. He was there at the time, and we've seen, like, he hates anything Elantris, even in passing. So.
Yep. He didn't even want his kid's broken limb healed by them. He's like, no, I want you, like, in a cast for months instead of, like, 5 seconds in Elantris. Well, I don't even know if they have the medical technology for casts. Maybe he wanted to take him out back and put him down. Who knows?
Yeah, just chew on this cocaine gum.
Yeah, just take this. Your arm's not going to work anymore. Sorry, bud.
Walk it off.
I got it from a traveling salesman.
And then while they're having a discussion, Iadon has made a decision about the case. He's like, the original slave has to be returned to his original owner, but the children get to stay with their current master because they've been fed by him for all this time, so he deserves to keep them. And Serene's just like, this can't keep going for long. The people aren't going to stand for shit like this. And Lugal's like, people lived for centuries under the feudal system. Feudal is, I don't like the way that sounds. And she's like, yeah, but those people didn't know anything else. 10 years ago, all these people were free and could own their own land and everything. They remember, and they're not going to stand for this shit forever. I'm surprised they've stood for it for 10 years, quite honestly, but what can you do?
Yeah.
And we start talking about Rowden, and Luke was like, yeah, he's my best friend, greatest man I ever knew. He could just make people happy, no matter how bad your day was going. He would have been a horrible merchant, didn't care about money. He'd lose a card game just because he knew that I got excited from winning. And apparently, we find out here that Iadon and Rowden did not get along, and Rowden basically opposed everything the king was doing and was not afraid to speak up about it. And the laws that the king himself wrote give the prince the right to speak up in all the stuff that gets brought before the king. So Rowden just gets to stand there and disagree with the king in his own throne room, and nobody can say shit. It really does make you wonder. Maybe Iadon wanted Rowden out of the way.
Yeah, it's like, does he have access to Elantrian magic in some way, or has something to do with the Riod and just said, all right, cool, so now you're fucked, get out of my hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I now take from you your health and your clean skin, and I cast you out.
So there's a hammer waiting somewhere for Rowden to pick up when he becomes a worthy merchant.
Whosoever holds this book, be he worthy, be healthy.
And apparently they had Rowden had managed to recruit a following. They got a group of nobles together to maybe fight back against what the king was doing. But now without him, they're kind of falling apart. And a lot of them don't trust Keen. He doesn't have a title, and he has the reputation of being something of a scoundrel. He's refused every title the king tried to give him. She's like, but I thought he was opposed to the king. Why would Iadon try to give him a title? And he's like, Iadon's entire government is built on the fact that if you have money, if you're successful, then that is justification for being in charge, for being a noble person. Keen is super successful and rich, which by the law means he has to be noble. The king just assumed that everyone who's rich would go along with it, and Keen has not. Who inherits now, she's asking, and he's like, probably the king plans to have another son. But if not, then it'll be one of these two rich dudes, Lord Telry or Lord Royal. And it's like, Royal isn't here, Telry standing over there. And it says Lugal nodded towards a pompous-looking man standing near the far wall. Might have been handsome had he not displayed signs of gross indulgence. Clothing with gemstones sewn into it, rings sparkling with gold and silver. Apparently, Iadon he's like, let's hope that guy never becomes king. Iadon's disagreeable, but he's fiscally responsible. Telry likes to spend. He'd be the richest guy in Erelon if he wasn't so lavish. As it is, he's a poor third.
So we're already up to the fuck this guy portion when he hasn't even said a word.
Right? We don't like him. He likes to flash his cash too much. Nobody likes that. Unless you're Bruce Wayne. It's like,
well, it's like the common people do perceive him to be a dick, so.
It's true.
Yeah. Bruce
Wayne's like, my friends want to go swimming in your fountain. And they can do it because I just bought your restaurant.
See you later.
But they're going to have a meeting tonight, we find out, at Keen's house of a few of the nobles who are willing to still meet. And Serene cannot pass up this opportunity. She's here. She wants to get involved in court politics, and this is absolutely an awesome chance. And he's like, I don't think that they are going to like new members showing up. And she's like, well, this is the last time they're going to meet anyway, right? So what are they going to do if I show up? Refuse to come again?
I'm like, touche, salesman.
Yep. And so they're like, okay, let's go visit my dad's house for lunch. Casey, the little girl, he's like, she's going to be so happy you're coming. Father always makes better food when we have company. And so they go, and Keen's, very welcoming. The little girl still just wants to eat. She's all about eating. Sometimes I feel like, I'm like, this little girl seems like an Elantris. She's just always hungry. Let's see. They start in the middle of the meal. They start recounting the adventure with Serene painting in the throne room.
Yeah,
and
that's probably my favorite part of the chapter.
This feels very much like a family dinner to me, where you're all gathered around and they're just like, oh my gosh, she did the stupidest thing today. You got to hear about this. And Aish is like, I believe the princess feels empowered by crafting art that baffles one's ability to distinguish what the subject could be.
Just imagining those people with like the sculptures that are just utterly incomprehensible. And it's like, yeah, it's just so deep and meaningful. It represents my feelings on, and you're just like, it looks like Nemo exploded.
So yeah, she just hasn't found her opportunity to become the next art sensation in this country. She's gonna get there. And the little girl's like, no, there's no such art school as that. There's only the Impressionist school, the Neo-Representational school, the abstract derivational school, and the Revivationist school. That's all the art schools that there are. It's like, there was a realist movement, but really that's just the same as the Neo-Representational school. And her brother's like, stop showing off. It's like, I'm not showing off. I'm being educated. And then they start getting into an argument about whether the realist school and the Neo-Representational school was the same. These are some weird kids.
The boy seems like he's just, a bit of a regular smartass. The girl is just like all about trying to outprove everyone else on everything.
Uh-huh. She starts mumbling, and Serene's like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, she's cursing at us in Jindo. She always does that when she loses an argument.
Yeah, she just gets mad, starts cursing in other languages. She knows like 5. It's cool.
Yeah, she speaks 4 or 5, and Luke goes like, she's going to have to stop soon. Sfordish scientists claim that the human mind can only maintain 6. And she's just like, your kids are so well informed. It's weird. And apparently these two just work hard to like outdo each other when it comes to learning. And the little girl's like, if the prince were here, he would have listened to me. He always took my side. And her brother's like, he just sounded like he was agreeing with you. It's called sarcasm. And this little girl's like, he thought I was beautiful and loved me, and he was waiting for me to grow up so he could marry me, and then I would be queen and throw you all in a dungeon. And she's like, her brother's like, nuh-uh, stupid. He's married to her. And nobody, once again, the insensitivity of the two kids to the fact that she is a new widow of like 3 days. And she's sitting here thinking, man, maybe I should have gone home. But really, I don't know what else I could have done. Without the Dualaden Republic, we have to have some allies or face the hordes of Viking Pope on our own. And he's like, hey, Keen is like changing the subject. Like, hey, do you want to see anything in town? And she's like, actually, I want to see Elantris. And he's like, okay, yeah, I guess the twins can take you. And apparently that's a nickname for them. They're not actually twins, according to them, and they hate that, so that's why you call them the twins. We don't even look alike. Cut to Elantris, the giant wall standing over the city, because this city is built like right up against the wall, basically.
Yeah, I think it was so interesting that it's all one piece of stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a really, and we still don't get an idea of exactly how big, but she's like, I've been to some of the like most fortified cities in the world, and this just shames them all with how giant this wall is.
Big enough for her to get vertigo at the top.
Yeah. And she's like, this is just a sign of how confident in themselves that they were, that you craft like the hugest fortification in the world, and then you put a giant set of stairs on the outside so people can walk up and look down. It's like, these were not people afraid of anything.
Just with everything like we know about the Elantrians, how they make shit and give it away for free, and they use their magic to help people as much as possible. You get the feeling like they put the stairs on the outside so that people could come up and see what they did and be interested and spread the word of like, these are the great things. They basically just created their own stadium.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's an interesting take on it. I wonder how much is visible from like so high up. It's obviously not too high up. She can make out individual people sitting on a roof or whatever. But I wonder how much you could see, like what kind of magic was going on back in the day. Were there people like flying around that you could watch from up there or something? That would be pretty cool.
Maybe.
No gaps where stone met stone. The entire wall was one seamless piece of rock, like Joe was mentioning. Feels like the earthbenders from Avatar making a wall.
Well, it's actually probably not far off how they did it. You just picture like a whole bunch of people just waving their hands, making the things until this stone just pops up.
Right? Or maybe they like just waved a hand and made a symbol and like the air turns to stone. Who even knows?
Yeah.
And so yeah, when they're up at the top, she's a little bit gets a little bit of vertigo up there. It's higher than she likes to be. And Aisha's like, maybe you shouldn't have come up here. I mean, you have a thing with heights. She's like, no, nonsense. And that's when they find a big group of people up here. And the little girl's like, man, this place is usually empty except for the guards. And so they walk over, and it's the Giorn. It's our friend Hrathen giving a speech about how much the Elantrians suck. Like, look at them. They've lost their right to be men.
I like how we got this speech from almost three perspectives, like all three perspectives.
Yep.
Like Raoden sees him from far off and can tell he's yelling, but doesn't know what he's yelling about. And then Sereni's like there, and then we get Hrathen's like reaction to Sereni right after the speech. So I really liked how those three parts blended on that speech. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about it in those terms exactly, but it does really all kind of revolve around the speech that's happening. And she just pipes in. He's saying Elantrians are animals, and animals are so far beneath men in the eyes of Lord Jadeth. And she's like, why? He's like, what? Why what? Why are animals beneath humans in Mr. Jadeth's eyes? I love something about Mr. Jadeth just cracks me up every time.
Yeah, Mr. Jadeth. It'd be like somebody being like, Mr. Allah.
Mr. Jehovah.
Yeah. Mr. Jesus, Mr. God.
That's Dr. Jesus, buddy.
And so she is familiar enough with the work, like the theology around this church, that she starts throwing out some things that she's trying to sound stupid, but things that she knows. Well, they're not tripping him up exactly, but they're making the people be like, oh, yeah, this is, she's breaking the stride of his speech at the very least, and making people think about some stuff. Because he's like, well, animals can only follow their own lusts, and she's like, but I thought men follow their lusts all the time, right? And I thought Jadeth loved arrogance, she says, and he goes, no, Lord Jadeth rewards ambition, not arrogance. And she's like, but isn't ambition just serving our lusts? Why does Mr. Jadeth reward that? And he's like, no, you don't understand. People's service in Jadeth's empire is quickly rewarded here and in the afterlife. And so he's like, so he's going to fulfill our lusts if we serve him. And apparently that is a very tricky part of Shu Dureth, that it's a very hierarchical religion where you serve the person directly above you. So like when Hrathen earlier was like, he asked Dilloth, have you been accepted as anyone's, I forget what even the word was. And Jamie brought up, it was like, it doesn't seem like this guy's getting much out of this deal. But that's how this religion works, is you serve someone else, and that person above you serves someone above them, all the way up to Viking Pope. And Viking Pope is the only one high enough to serve Jadeth directly. And so she throws this question out there, knowing that this is a thing that these priests have to correct all the time. And it's kind of like a snap reflex on his part. Just be like, no one serves Jadeth but Rin. But that gives her the opportunity in front of this audience to be like, wait, what? No one can serve him? Not even you? Man, I guess this stuff of priests is just too complicated for a common person like myself. And all the other people are like, oh man, yeah, these priests, they make everything so complicated. No one even understands any of their shit.
Man, religion's hard, man.
And she breaks up his gathering just that easily. And even she is surprised when Hrathen like looks at her and clearly gets what she did, and he like gives her a little nod of respect. And he's like, you play a dangerous game, princess.
Let's play a game. Again, I just hear Alec Baldwin. Well played, princess.
My vengeance won't be swift or entertaining. But yeah, she's like, you'll find that I'm very good at games, Kjorn. And he's like, until the next round then. So yeah, I really like that perspective. Like we were talking about it at the beginning, but I like this. When we get into his chapter, we find out more about it. But it's like, he's like, hey, this is a challenge. Even taking down the country of Duladel didn't feel like a challenge. I like a challenge. This is interesting to me. But also as they go by, Dilloth is like staring daggers at her.
This guy.
And I like the little boy's like, or the little girl's first like, Sereni, that was awesome. You were so stupid. His face got even redder than Papa after he finds out I've eaten all of his sweets. Like, that's just a thing that happens a lot. She's like, oh, I ate all the candy. My bad. Is there more?
He's like, what?
I was saving that candy for dessert.
But the little boy's like, didn't he know that you were just acting stupid? And she's like, well, yeah, but there was no way for him to prove it. So he couldn't, like, try to call anything out. So he had to pretend that I was serious. And we find out that in addition to all the other shit going on in this country, Keen is worried that they're going to be successful in converting the country because last year's crops did not do real well. And if this year's don't either, well, people might be looking for someone else to go to. So yes, Serene is like, okay, so I'm going to figure out what this Hrathen is up to, what his plan is, so she can take him on. But in the meantime, she's looking down like, man, Elantris, you can tell this place used to be really beautiful. And the little girls next to her are like, they're so sad. And she points to the people down there. And she's like, no one takes care of them. And Serene's like, how do they eat? Somebody has to feed them. The boy's like, no one feeds them. They should all be dead. There's nothing for them to eat.
I like how they're so insistent that they're dead. I don't know who gave them that information. I guess maybe their dad or something. But it's like, they're very like, no, they're dead.
Yeah. And Serene's like, well, no, they have to be getting food from somewhere. And Casey's like, no, they're dead, Serene. They don't need to eat. They're dead. They don't need to sleep. They don't age. They're all dead. So she does seem to know. Yeah. It says she's uncharacteristically solemn about this. So she seems to know a lot about it, surprisingly. Right. Since everyone kind of ignores the Elantrians, we have learned so far, it's kind of interesting that these kids seem to know some stuff.
Come play with us, Serene, forever and ever and ever.
And Serene even calls it out. She's like, how do you know so much about it? And Casey's like, I just do. Trust me. They're dead. And this is when she's able to pick out some figures sitting on a roof. One of them with darker skin than the other two, which we know is Galadon. And it's like, well, they look kind of mobile, unlike most of the other ones down there. And then she gets some serious vertigo and kind of nearly falls over. And Aisha's like, okay, we're leaving. And the chapter ends with Casey being like, considering how tall she is, you'd think she'd get used to heights. Oh, that kid is such a little, I don't even know what to call her. And so we move into Hrathen, whatever. We move into Hrathen's chapter, and it starts out, if Dilloff had been a dog, he would have been growling and probably frothing at the mouth as well. They're walking down the steps, so we basically cut to this right after we saw him walk away in Serene's chapter. He's like, looks back at the wall, is like, up top it was that infuriating young woman who'd somehow gotten the best of him. And he thinks of her as infuriating, and then he's like, she was magnificent. Like, that was awesome. We talked about previously how Teod, the country she's from, is like the home nation of the other religion, the Shu Korath, I think is what it's called, that is opposed to Shu Dereth that the Fjordals follow. So they don't like each other much. Teod had banished Drethi priests 50 years ago, following a small misunderstanding. I'm sure it was very small.
Can't wait to find out what that was.
Yeah, right. And so it's like the royal family was infamous for its biting denunciations of all things Drethi. And he's like, it was invigorating to meet someone who could foil one of his sermons so easily. He was such an expert at manipulating the public that he hardly ever found a challenge. Even in Duladel, half a year ago, where he'd proven he could crumble a nation, there had been little opposition. The doulas themselves were too open to accepting to present a challenge. So we've met a doula, because Galadon's from Duladel. I don't know that he seems open or accepting exactly, but okay.
Well, I mean, he was fairly open and accepting to the newbie in the town.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. And he's like, yeah, you could pal around with me. Oh, you got food, huh? Yeah.
Before he started to be very inconvenient, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like, you can come see my books.
Yeah.
My thick books.
Oh, we had to go back there. Nice.
It's back.
There's our mascot. Oh, you missed it last time. We were talking about a different podcast where there's like this wiki of superheroes and villains that are in the public domain now, and so this podcast got one of those public domain superheroes called Microface, who's a guy with a microphone on his face, and that was their mascot. So I was like, Joe, do we need like a public domain superhero as our mascot? And he's like, I don't think that we do. We need a mascot that happens like organically, like the Possum Hunters. So maybe our mascot needs to be a thick book.
I mean, it makes sense because we are also ourselves reading thick books.
It's true.
It's true. We should call him Richard, the book.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Oh my gosh. I'm going to draw this up. It's like a book named Richard.
Listeners, please, a sketch of Richard the book.
there's our another t-shirt idea. Just
Richard the book.
A book with Richard written on it.
Yeah.
Here's your challenge. Try and draw this book and make him look snarky.
Yeah, he's snarky, he's thick, and Elend is reading him.
Oh my gosh. But so yes, Dilloth doesn't like her because she is accursed above all others, a member of the only race hated by Lord Jadeath. And so we're getting into like Dorethi theology apparently at this point, because Hrathen comes back pretty quickly with like, Jadeath hates no one but those who hate him. And Dilloth's like, but they do hate him. Most of them have never had the chance to hear Jadeath's name preached. Their king is most likely cursed for his injunction against our priests, but the people haven't been given a chance. So once Erelon falls, then we can worry about penetrating Teod, and it won't last long with the rest of the civilized world pitted against it. And Dilloth is like, no, it will be destroyed. Jadeath will not wait while our Arteths preach his name against the unyielding walls of their hearts. And so another part of their theology is Lord Jadeath can only return when all men are united beneath feudal rule, including the ones in Teod. And Dilloth's like, well, yeah, maybe, but I mean, it's just all the living people. So we could just kill them all, and then it would still work. So this dude's cheery is what we get out of that.
Yeah.
And this is when he's like, he finds the words disturbing because he's come to save Erelon, not to burn it. He wants to unite all of mankind under Shu Dareth, not murder those who don't believe. But then he's like, well, maybe my way's the wrong way. I mean, Viking post patience is apparently wearing out. There's only 3 months that he's given us, so great Jadeath below. So I guess in their theology, God lives under a rock or under the ground, and he will come out when everyone follows him.
Wasn't that something that got said in the letter back in the early chapters? Like he's entombed in rock, and when everyone believes in him, then he comes out.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So he's a starfish that lives under a rock. He's Patrick, the starfish.
Starro the Conqueror?
Sure. I would say Starro the Conqueror is probably the best part of that film.
We got a freaking kaiju.
Yeah, I was sad when named got squished.
Oh man, spoilers.
Oh, well, cut it out.
But then it turns out that Hrathen's like, you know what? I lost that thing on the wall, but that wasn't really the main thing. That was kind of a side thing I had running, because he's already arranged to meet all of these important nobles, or maybe not super important nobles, but important enough. He's already arranged to meet them, and none of them are refusing to show up because he's already started kind of making some offers or some hints at what he has to offer. And so he walks in, he's like, hey, hi, everybody. And they're like, don't pretend everything is fine. You promised your words would bring power. It appears confusion was the only thing they produced. He's like, yeah, my speech confused one stupid girl. I mean, they say that she has trouble remembering which hand is right and which one is left. So I wouldn't expect her to understand that. I mean, don't tell me you were confused, Lord Edon.
Master manipulator here.
Yep. He's like, oh, wouldn't it? No, I mean, obviously not. And so he's kind of, it says like he's invited some of the younger nobles, not the most powerful people, but the ones who have some power, and they're impatient to move up the ladder because that makes them easier to manipulate because they're really wanting some power. And so the guy's like, well, who? Because he's talking about their enemies. The power, my lord, comes in the perception of your enemy. And this young dude's like, well, who do you perceive as our enemy? He's like, well, the Elantrians. The Elantrians, they've been dead for a decade. They're not a threat. And he's like, the Elantrians still live on in people's minds. Have you ever met someone who thought the Elantrians would return someday? Your king is not not absolutely in charge here. People really expect or believe somewhere deep down that the Elantrians are coming back. The king doesn't see the danger. He doesn't see that his leadership is suffered rather than accepted. What we have to do is destroy Elantris and the Elantrian idea of them if we really want power. And the guy's like, oh yeah, no, you're right. It says young Eden nodded enthusiastically, and Hrathen pursed his lips with dissatisfaction. He was too easily swayed. As was often the case, the most outspoken man was the least discerning. Ain't that the truth?
Yep, flashback to every work meeting I've ever had.
Yeah, no joke. But he points out, he's like, have you guys ever traveled to the countries in the East? If you have, then you know what kind of influence is available for people who align themselves with our religion. And it notes it's like no king rules east of the mountains unless he has allegiance to Shu-Dereth. The most desirable and lucrative government positions always fell to those who were diligent in their worship of Jadeath. So he's basically telling these people, we're going to take this country, and if you're on our side, you're going to be the people important here when the dust settles. And one of the dudes is like, hey, shut up. Enough wordplay. I want promises. Are you saying if we convert, then you'll grant us greater holdings? He's like, Jadeath rewards his followers. Jadeath holds no power in this kingdom, priest. Lord Jadeath holds power everywhere, friend.
Shut up and take my money.
And he's like, Erlon has remained untouched for so long because we haven't bothered to spare the effort to try and convert her. And he thinks, a lie, but a modest one. And so he's like, look, we're going to convert all the people, and then the people aren't going to suffer to have rulers who don't believe the same stuff as they do. And as recent history has shown, kings and monarchies are hardly eternal. So he's trying hard not to like move into like straight up preaching against the king and overthrowing him at this point, but he's hinting as broadly as he can that, you know, this is the way things are heading, and you guys want to get on board with me.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but your king's kind of a dick.
Yeah, probably they should have picked up on that by now.
Yeah.
I like this note that it was beneficial to have a reputation for honesty, if only so that one could lie at crucial moments. And one of the guys is like, well, it's going to take time to like unseat an entire religion and set up a new one. And Rathan's like, well, I mean, you might be surprised. You saw what happened in Duladel, one of the seat of one of the world's oldest religions. And now, as far as our people can tell, that religion has been completely wiped out. He points out, like, that government fell quickly. The Elantrians fell real quickly. Change can just happen before you're prepared for it. If you are prepared for it, though, you might be able to profit from it substantially. And so he's just like, hey, think about what I've said. Tough times coming. Those who don't have the church's support might find things going worse for them. And then at the end, he pulls out Elantris again. It's like, remember the Elantrians. They sleep and they wait, clever as always. You must cleanse the world of them before they cleanse it of you. Which, okay, wow, that was dramatic. But whatever you say, man.
Yeah, when you talk about cleansing, it's like, oof.
And then we find out that Duke Tellery, the guy that we met earlier, is also in this meeting, hanging out in the back. This was this is super rich guy who likes to spend money and is like third in line for the throne at this point.
Cool. Mr. Somehow Not Bankrupt.
Right. And he's like, hey, Lord Tellery, hold on a moment. I got a special proposal that you might be interested in. And that's the end of the chapter.
Dun, dun, dun!
So, yeah, we're back in Elantris. We've the plots are we're starting to get a feel for I guess I said we're starting to get a feel for it. We're getting a very vague idea of what Rowden may be trying to do. Where Serene's starting to find her footing a little bit, and we're starting to get some of the shape of Farathan's scheme at this point, but it's all still kind of in flux and getting set up, like Dax said at the beginning of the episode. So, predicaments, what do you guys think? Where are these three storylines going?
I feel like we talked before about Iodon and how we think he's involved in all the Elantrian plots and everything, so we won't belabor that point. I get the feeling that the meeting that Serene's going to go to with Lucal and Keen, I'm not going to say the other name either. I feel like someone who was just at this meeting with Hrathen is going to be at that meeting as well. And I don't know which side they're going to be spying for, but that like someone is going to be like at both meetings spying for one of the sides. So and I think that's going to really make those two storylines just sort of dovetail and intertwine, because I think there's going to be an acknowledgement that Iodon's a fool, but people are going to come to recognize that Hrathen is a much more is a greater threat. So I don't know. I feel like they might try and start working against Hrathen to try and stop him from doing his conversion. And then, oh, look at that, we succeeded, and here comes the feudal empire coming to conquer us. Fuck.
Yep, that would be bad. They don't understand that this guy's trying to do you a favor and stop all of you from getting killed.
Well, they don't know that. I feel like he hasn't quite brought up the whole convert to my religion or else we will kill you all. Like,
Yeah.
that's not my call. Pope's already said that's happening, so.
He does seem to have avoided saying that. I think Jamie pointed out in that previous episode the same thing. It's like, why doesn't he mention this? This is kind of a big deal.
I guess, like, to him, he's like, no, I shouldn't have to threaten them with death for them to convert. That I should be able to convince them to truly convert because they want to. I don't know. Maybe he thinks it's almost like a cheat to, like, say, well, my God's going to kill you if you don't convert.
Yeah, just his interactions with Dilaf and how he reacted when he realized that, oh shit, that's actually what's going to happen. It's just kind of like, oh god. Like, he doesn't really seem sold on the whole conversion by conquest thing. So
True facts. He would much rather talk them into submission.
Yep. He's like what was the dude from Thank You for Smoking? He just talks people down all the time.
Never saw it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. It's a good one. It's got
excellent
Aaron
movie
Eckhart and that dude from The Office and Anchorman. What's his name?
David Koechner.
Yeah, David Koechner.
Yeah.
Steve Carell?
No, not that guy.
Had J.K. Simmons, Katie Holmes, Sam Elliott, Robert Duvall.
I do love Sam Elliott.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good movie.
Yeah, like excellent movie. It was like the first thing I think it was the first thing I ever saw Aaron Eckhart in, and I was just like, God damn, this guy's amazing. He was so funny.
For me, I'm very interested to see where this is going to go. I think Raoden building up a group. I think maybe next time we check in with him, he'll have maybe more than just a shoemaker, or maybe it'll jump right back in where we left off. But I think he's going to be able to amass people, and then he's going to be like the fourth gang, and he's going to be the one that, like, people talk about. It's like, oh, he doesn't take the food from them. He gives the food away, and then, you know, he keeps the people too. He recruits the people that walk through the door. He doesn't just take their food and leave them to rot. And so he's going to become like the benevolent gang leader, and that's going to lead him. Yeah, exactly. And that's
with
going
blackjack
to lead him
and hookers.
Exactly. And then that's
I knew that
lead
was
him,
coming.
That's going to lead him to being kind of respected by the other gang leaders or hated by the other gang leaders, and they're going to have some face-to-faces possibly. So yeah, and I really think he's going to be able to figure out how to make the magic work, and then we'll have zombie magic. Not like voodoo. Yeah, well, voodoo's real. You don't want to mess with voodoo.
No.
And so Serene, again, I think she's like our mystery unraveler. So she's going to keep pulling at the threads and keep finding out what's going on. I almost feel like the book is pushing us too much toward Iodine being like the mastermind behind several things. And just from the little we've seen of him, in my head, I'm thinking, yes, he like, my theory I think will still hold, as in he had something do with certain things like his son's death, but that he is not the mastermind behind it. I think somebody's pulling his strings. Not sure who that is at this point, but I think maybe his strings are being pulled by a greater force.
So what you're saying to him, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I don't feel like he's the sharpest knife in the drawer. Like, he knows how to be a merchant. No. He probably is conniving and cunning in certain ways, but I don't think he could have pulled off, the complete destruction of this society. So I think he's more of an opportunist, not necessarily a mastermind. So
you reckon he's still being puppeted?
Yeah, I think maybe so. I mean, clearly something's going on, because like something happened to Elantris, right? So whatever that thing is, So whatever that thing is that's happened to Elantris, I don't think it's like it happened and now it's forever that way. Unless, of course, we are talking about like the death of a shard or something like that. But so, in my opinion, he may still be being puppeted a little bit. Either that, or he's just being given opportunities by whatever force this is. Maybe let's go full hemalurgy. Maybe he's spiked and somebody's nudging him. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that's what's going on.
Ruin is here.
Oh, no. Yeah, Ruin's here. No. So yeah, I think he's being puppeted maybe a little bit. Hrathen, man, like I said at the beginning, I'm almost rooting for him, right? It's like he seems like a bad guy, but at the same time, you're kind of like, oh man, I like his style. So I think like at the very beginning when we first started reading, I was like, I don't know about this guy, but now I'm totally on board to see what his plan actually is, and kind of want to watch it unfold. And it'll be fun also to have him kind of opposed to Serene. It almost makes me wonder if they're gonna have like some faux romance where like Hrathen's like gets kind of seriously enamored with her, and he's just like, man, this woman, I've got to have her. So that'd be kind of funny to me if that happened as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. New book series, new book. I'm excited.
Yep. We're setting up. We're going places. It's interesting. We are 19% of the way through the book, by the way. So we're like a fifth of the way.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But some of what we just talked about actually leads real well into the first of the 3 emails that we received. And this is the one that I was saving since they came in actually right before we filmed the first baby break.
Oh, gotcha.
But I wanted to hold on to this one because I thought it would work well when we got back to reading Elantris. So, and important note, I said it to Joe, but I don't think Dak would have heard that yet. The planet that we are on, where Elantris is called Sel, S-E-L, and that comes up in this question, so I thought I would mention it. Peter says, greetings. This is my first email for a long time. Since we have intimate knowledge of ruin and preservation, along with the names of a few other shards, would you guys be prepared to make a guess at which, if any, are in play on Sel? Whether it be ones that we know the names of, or if you want to make up guesses as to your own names for shards.
What other shards do we know? Dak, do you remember?
Not off the top of my head.
Give me a second, and I can
We had a lot out
tell
of
you. It was in Secret History. Yeah. Give me one second.
I will say, like, with all like the disease zombie people going through Elantris, I did have a thought to myself. I was like, pestilence. Wait, no, that was a Horseman of Apocalypse. Never mind. Here we go. Ruin, preservation, autonomy, cultivation, devotion.
You got there first. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't remember if another name came up in the fortress of the people, but yeah, I don't think any of them.
You don't think so? I think there's so much religious talk in this book. I almost think maybe it could be devotion, but I would like it to be one that we haven't heard of as well.
So yeah, if we know 5, ruin, preservation, autonomy, cultivation, devotion, that means there's 11 left. Yeah. So spin the wheel.
Let me think.
Can't be ruin and preservation because they're tied up elsewhere.
Yep. So I mean, this does happen before in the timeline before Mistborn, but ruin and preservation were kind of tied up for a long while. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm still stuck on pestilence. I'm like, well, that's not right. It's not even an aspect of a personality, unless Adonalcium had a really dark, like really fetid side.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess with like Elantris as it used to be, you could say creativity could be an interesting one, given shit now going into red versus blue and how they split the alpha into like
the alpha.
Yeah. What was it?
They stole it from this.
Yeah, the rage, the deceit, I think creativity was there and such and such.
I think the one I jumped to the part where he's in the fortress, and I don't know if they mentioned another one. One of the guys says, devotion protect us, we move forward. And Alono says, you won't need devotion, you'll have me.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh!
Weren't those people in the fortress all glowy and special and whatnot? Are they Elantrians?
Uh-oh. Jack, did you just solve the case?
So the people, they did have like glowy skin, and I was trying to figure out what their hair was.
Oh yeah, one of the lady with the orb, she was like rotting and shit, wasn't she?
Was she rotting? I don't remember that.
I thought she looked all fucked up. I thought that's what Kelsier said.
Hold on, now I'm gonna go back and find her. Give me a second. He's climbing the wall.
Her like hair was like, she looked all like decrepit and shit. Pretty sure that's right.
Let's see. He calls her an ancient creature. Where does it describe her? Mostly human, wizened, dried up. The woman had puckered lips, a bald scalp, and a strange silvery dark skin. She glowed faintly with the same quiet blue-white light as the walls. Because the walls glowed with like the energy that was coming through the pipe or whatever.
Right.
Dude, Dak, I think we just solved it, bro. Elantrians.
So it could be devotion, because like there's like, oh, devotion protect us.
Yeah. So do we think there's two shards, just like there were on Scadrial?
Could be. Like, what's the opposite of devotion? Autonomy?
I don't know.
That autonomy was one of the ones that got mentioned.
Autonomy was that was mentioned.
Yeah. Maybe.
Because I mean, devotion is all about dedicating yourself to someone or something else. Autonomy is very much, I'm self-sufficient. So
yeah.
Was that city he visited Elantris? He had to climb those walls.
I don't think it was that big a city.
Yeah.
It was like a little fortress or something, I think.
Okay.
And it would make sense, like maybe, I don't know chronologically if Elantris happens before.
Yeah, chronologically, Elantris happens first.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
if it's after the Rayod and shit, that may be why they're all like messed up looking.
They've got the glow though, which is like pre-Rayod. So
Well,
the book could end with like the Elantrians coming back, as seems to be the suspicion. So
yeah, but I mean, like I said, I feel like Sanderson's not going to introduce a magic system that they're not able to work.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
they never get to use the magic the whole book. That'd be messed up.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I feel like these are probably Elantrians that are still all messed up looking, but have figured out how to use the magic.
Right.
So,
Okay.
here's an interesting bit from Secret History that might contribute to the discussion. So you remember Kelsier's like scaring them in the woods, right? And he has one of her robes, the lady's robes, after he separated her from the party, and he like lies down in the robes and then like disappears into the ground. So they think that she's just like disintegrated or whatever out of the robes. It says another of the ancients looked in the satchel and he said, "Merciful Domi, what were we thinking?" And then they say, "Back, everyone, go back."
Domi. Well, that's come up a lot here.
Yep,
So
that's That's the
Okay.
Melantrian god.
that's specifically the Karathi god.
Yeah. I think we did it, Dak. I think we solved it.
Another job well done.
Dak's gonna have to go and tell Jamie, like, "Oh my gosh, you won't believe what we figured out."
Yeah.
Let's see who like the creepy people were, like, and they pulled the mask off Scooby-Doo style. It's like it was old man Elantris all along.
All right, son. We've been paid to clear out all these rotten corpses. You ready?
No, Paul, these corpses are still talking and stuff.
I don't give a rat's behind. We got a job to do.
Oh, I don't want to. They might touch me. Look at them. They're reaching and they're complaining that they're still hungry. And that one has a
Yeah.
paper cut.
Yeah, doesn't look like it's healing neither.
Well, how long is a paper cut meant to heal for? Like, look at these people. They're all complaining and stuff. That guy's eyes falling out and he doesn't seem to notice.
You got the flamethrowers ready, boy?
Oh, jeez.
I'll go make sure they're all gassed up.
That's advanced possum hunting equipment right there.
Yeah, we've been through quite a few universes at this point. So we got
Called
some
cherry
shit.
picking.
Yeah.
So I guess the resolution to your question was we're not really sure, Peter. So that's where we
I think
landed on that.
I think Dak and I are settling on at least devotion.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Man, what a rabbit hole that email led us to.
Right? The next email is from Michael and says, "Hey, Data and Joe and Dak and Jamie. Hope everything's going well and everyone's healthy. If you're still looking for Sanderson adjacent material, have you thought about covering news on the Wheel of Time TV show? There's been a lot of news running around about that. I don't know that we're good for news since we don't come out for like 2 weeks after we record or something. But
Yeah.
Wheel of Time is Sanderson. It could be worth discussing if you guys are looking for more material. I don't know. Joe said he bought the first Wheel of Time books, so maybe
Yeah, I'm not very far in, but
that might be
yeah.
something we end up discussing a little bit here and there.
Sure.
I should
mean,
probably,
it's not really Sanderson at the beginning, at least.
No, it's true.
I should probably throw out there. I think you guys talked about this on that first episode when we were away. So I got to the end of book 4 and then stopped Wheel of Time. I might go back to it at some point, but at the moment I'm just like I'm okay for now. Like,
You're like, I'm busy with stuff. I don't need that.
well, not even so much that. I just like got to the end of the 4th book. I'm just like, I'm not really into this. Like I feel like 4 books out of 14. I've given it a red hot go, but like it's just not clicking with me. So
Sure, I don't blame you.
yeah,
I think 4 books is generous.
Yeah, and just like I felt through most of those books, I'm just like, man, this is really dragging. Like a lot, like it's going really slow. And then I look online and people say it's like, yeah, after book 6, the plot really slows down. I'm just like, fuck, it gets slower.
Yeah, there is one major character who I swear there's like 3 books where it's like this person I care about has been kidnapped or something, and it's like, you know that they're gonna get free. You know that it's not gonna be like, it's not Game of Thrones. They're not gonna get executed or anything. But we spend 3 books like doing nothing because they're sitting here like, I want to go and rescue that person, but I can't rescue that person. And it just like nothing happens with that whole like third of the story. And I'm just like, ugh.
And honestly, that's my biggest problem with the books that I have read. Is like, how many times do they have the same conversations over and over and over again? I'm like, can we get on with it, please?
I liked a lot of stuff in those books, but there was a few things that I was just like, ugh.
Like there is a lot of good in them, and like I know we have like people who like listeners who are fans of the Wheel of Time, so like, I'm not trying to take this away from you. It's like, it just didn't gel for me. So like, Please don't take me this saying you can't enjoy it. I like, please do. You have every right and please do enjoy it. But like, I've tried and it just didn't grab me, and that's just something that happens. So I'm not saying it was shit. I'm just saying it wasn't for me.
That's been a big topic on these last few episodes as we're reading 1-star reviews, where Joe will often be like, look, not everything is for everyone. So I get it. This wasn't for you. So
yeah,
I think hopefully our audience gets that by now. It's like, look, we don't blame you if if you don't like a thing, you don't like a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're one of the idiots in those reviews who like, I couldn't even finish the first chapter. This book sucks.
Oh God, I heard that review and I'm just like,
that was so amazing.
I could be like, well, at least I'm not like that person. I got 4 books. They got 1 chapter.
Yeah, not even a whole chapter. And they're just like, nope, I'm done.
Oh my gosh. But okay, the rest of this email is, side note, love the discussion of anime from the most recent episode. Joe, if you haven't watched it, Demon Slayer on Netflix is the most beautiful anime I've ever seen, and raised for me an interesting idea. Do you guys think Sanderson would adapt better as live action or an animated series?
I've heard a lot about Demon Slayer. If it's the one I'm thinking of, the last volume of the manga just came out, so I might check it out. I haven't really thought too much about it, honestly, because I've got other stuff that I'm reading. But man, Dak, I don't think you got to this part. This is gonna be a sidebar. I don't think you've gotten to this part yet. But we stumbled across apparently people talking about dinosaur erotica. It's disgusting. Yeah, exactly. What?
I'm compelled to ask why, but I feel like that's probably something I don't actually want the answer.
Go listen to the podcast. Go listen to the last episodes that have come out. You'll hear my reaction in full, and then in later episodes, the listener response.
Oh yeah. They really want Joe reading some of this.
Yeah.
You did post something of that in our group chat, and I'm just like, what is that about?
Oh, man, you don't even know. But
I'm sure I want to know.
But honestly, as far as adaptation goes, this is how I feel about Brandon Sanderson stuff, Mistborn specifically, since that's what I've read. I think it would work really well as like an HBO show, or maybe like a Showtime show, live action. If you're going to do it animated, I would say that it would need to, you could probably do that as like maybe 1 season per book if you're going to do a show,
Sure.
Yeah, sure. I can see that.
So it'd be like a mini series, just 3 seasons.
I feel like one of the big advantages animation has over live action is like animation can do so much more with like colors and a color palette. And just thinking about it, like Mistborn, from what we know, isn't really the most colorful of
it's
books.
A lot of grays and blacks, I feel like.
Yeah, grays, blacks, ash everywhere, and
red, volcanoes, lava.
Yeah, it's like, you get things like the stained glass windows, but it's not until like really towards the end where the world becomes green again. So it's like, I mean, I have no doubt that an animated show would be really good if they did it that way, but I feel like you get that. I'm just imagining live action, and you get to the end where like all of a sudden the colors really start to pop out, and I think that would be more impactful live action than it would animated.
Yeah, I agree. It would look very different.
And that might be a weird hill to die on, but I just feel like, and I wouldn't be opposed to an animated series, but I think live action might be the way to go, because then you got that more of an impact when that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, I agree. I think Mistborn works real well, and like I can really picture it live action. We haven't gotten there yet. Stormlight Archive has always felt to me like a very anime style, like it would need to be animated. And you guys hope we could talk about that when we get there. In between stuff, like we're reading Elantris now, I feel like that could be live action pretty easily. Like there's nothing that we've read so far that screams strange stuff that might need animation because it'll be too expensive. You know, there's not dinosaurs or anything running around.
Right. Yeah. There's not Koloss lumbering around in the wilderness.
Yeah, that'd be a little pricey when they're doing the live action.
The most complicated thing are the Seons. I'm just like, oh, little balls of light, big deal.
Yeah. So I think that Elantris could work. Just with the way you're talking about color, it really got me thinking that a book we're reading later before Stormlight is called Warbreaker, and color is very important in that book. And I think maybe that would do good as an anime or an animation thing for that reason. But I hadn't thought about that until you said the color thing.
It's just something I've noticed, and I think like the biggest comparison would be, I don't know, no one likes to bring it up, but like the last Airbender movie versus the TV show. It's like one of the many reasons that movie was so terrible was just like it was so drab and dark looking, whereas the animated series was bright and colorful and just everything popped so much.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, come on, the kid went penguin sledding.
Okay, on that note, let's thank you, Michael, for that. He says, love the podcast as always. You guys make starting my week better. I appreciate it, Michael. Thank you very much for your email. And we have one more from Sydney. It says, hi all, and me in the future. Hello, I've been listening to your podcast a lot recently, and I'm really loving your coverage of Mistborn and Elantris. Your banter always makes me laugh, and I can't believe how accurate some of the predictions have been. One question I have, do you plan on covering non-Cosmere materials as well? They don't get much love in the fandom, but I personally think Sanderson's Alcatraz series in particular is really enjoyable and a worthwhile read. Either way, I'm looking forward to future episodes. Okay, I'll pause there before I go to the rest of the email. The plan that I have outlined is Cosmere stuff first and then non-Cosmere stuff, because I agree that there's some really fun stuff out there. Even this person, Sydney specifically mentions Alcatraz. Alcatraz is a series that was published by Scholastic originally to get kind of, as you know, for like teenagers or preteens, to get them, make reading fun, make the library interesting and fun, that kind of thing. But it's very Brandon in a lot of ways, and it's the funniest stuff that he's ever written as far as I'm concerned. And so even though it's directed at a younger audience, I think they are hilarious books, and so they're definitely on the list. And honestly, The Rhythmatist, which is another non-Cosmere book, is one of my favorites that he's done. That's like top 4 for me, probably. I really enjoy that one, even though it's also directed at like it's like a young adult or even teenage audience directed thing. But I love it. So yes, that is in the plan, assuming we make it that far. Even beyond what what we're reading now, the Stormlight Archive is a big hill that we're going to be climbing if we get there. So assuming we make it through all of that, then yes, that is in the schedule. That is in my plan for the show. Sydney goes on to say, as I've been rereading Elantris to keep up with you guys, I've noticed something that I wanted to hear your thoughts on. To me, Serene is a very similar character to Alrianne from Mistborn, just a bit more experienced and less overtly feminine. They're both analytically minded, they both enjoy political games, and they both pretend to be unintelligent so people underestimate them. Also, they're both princesses, though the one depends on if you acknowledge Ashweather's title as legitimate. Love your podcast. Seeing your updates always brings a smile. Wasing to the time of next. Colo. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Are they similar characters to you?
Maybe we're being a little too harsh on Ariane, but I don't think they're that similar. I mean, I feel like Serene is what Ariane maybe should have been, but I guess her role in Mistborn is a much different role than what Serene has in Elantris. So I really don't know. To me, I can draw a few parallels just by the fact that what she said, like they're both princesses, they both act more stupid than they are, but I feel like their motivations are entirely different.
Ariane does have very selfish motivations.
Yes, her motivations are very inward focused, and Serene's motivations are very outward focused. And I think that makes a huge difference in a character. It's like one person is acting in a more selfless way, and the other person is acting in a very selfish way. So in that sense, I'd say they're more opposites.
Yeah, I'd say Orianne is nowhere near as proactive as Serene is. Serene's actually like going out of her way to find shit out. I mean, Orianne's done that a little bit, but like you look at most of her interactions throughout the books, and she's kind of just sitting back and letting other people do the heavy lifting.
Like Breeze.
Yeah, it's like she only tends to do that when she has no other choice. Like at the end of Well of Ascension, when she was just out in the wilderness and convinced the bandits to bring her back to her dad, and then convinced her dad to come back. Like that was all she really did of her own initiative. Things like that. You know, she broke out of her dad's camp to come into Luthadel. Like she doesn't do a lot of her own volition, and just seems happy to let other people do the other stuff. Whereas Serene is really just like she's like trying to figure things out. She's actually going through the court, like trying to hook up with some contacts. She is doing everything on her own motivation. So I'd say that's a pretty crucial difference there. And as a side note, I'd say Orianne's one of those people, like we were talking about earlier with the Juggernaut. She just relies on her power as much as she can.
Well, I think part of it is also that we're very rarely in Orianne's head. So most of the time, and we're in Serene's head 1/3 of the time. So most of the time when we're seeing Orianne, it's from the perspective that Iadon is seeing Serene from. So we're seeing the stupid girl, because that's what Vin is seeing most of the time, right? And we're in Vin's perspective a lot of the time. So Vin is to Orianne as Iadon is to Serene. And so we're seeing one from the perspective of, haha, I'm tricking him into thinking I'm dumb. And we're seeing the other one from the perspective of, damn, she's dumb. Like, but I gotta admit, when I first read this email, my first thought was like, come on, don't try to make Jaime hate Serene. Like, that's all that this is. You're going to be like, hey, look how similar these two are.
That's funny.
But yeah. Okay. That was our emails. For next time, we are reading chapters 10 and 11. So we're only getting 2 pieces of the triad this time.
Okay. So I'll be missing my Hrathen perspective.
Yep. We're going to get some Raoden and some Serene, but we're not going to get our Hrathen fix this time.
Well, so not from inside his head, but he might show
up
in
right.
chapter like he did this time.
And you can't even use what I said to say that he won't, because I don't remember what happens in these next 2 chapters. So. But yeah, so come back next time for those 2. Everyone, please come back. Dak, would you don't leave us.
I mean, let's be real. Like, people are just like, oh yay, Dak's back. We all know who everyone really wants back. So
yeah. When she messaged and said that she probably wouldn't be able to do it tonight, I turned to my wife and I said, oh man, we're gonna drop in listenership again, and everybody's coming for the Jaime, and it's not here.
So that's next time. Come back and we will do the Raoden and Serene chapters and see how things start to take off. Like I said, this is where we're reading 2 chapters instead of 3, because this is where the chapters get a little longer, so things are going to get a little meatier. Exactly. So we'll see what comes out of that. Music by Miracle of Sound. And if you want to email us, like these folks emailed us, the address is thesanderlanch@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter and all of the fun places on the internet where things happen. You can hit up our Discord channel if you're interested in that and you can't find the link. Shoot an email to thesanderlanch@gmail.com and I will send you a link even. Oh,
maybe you too can send an email which will let us inadvertently crack the mystery wide open.
Just coincidentally, while we're looking at something completely different, it's like, wait a second. But I was actually going to mention to Joe while we were talking about stuff and anime and stuff in particular, somebody after the last episode came out was like, by the way, Joe was talking about One Piece. There is a project that edits the anime to make it match the manga that might be of interest to Joe. It's onepace.net. So you can check that out. If you're interested.
I'm good. I'll just read it.
So thanks everyone for listening. And wasing to the time of next. Colo?
My name's Get up, get out.